that scene in Pacific Rim, remember that? With those giant robots,
Right,
they're
yeah.
piloting them with their minds. It always felt like such pure science fiction to me, you
Yeah.
know? But
It felt so far off.
it really did. But thanks to Neuralink and Tesla, that future might be closer than we think, right?
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch how these two companies are sort of converging, really cutting-edge technology. So we've got Neuralink, which I'm sure most people listening know is Elon Musk's
Of course, yeah.
brain-machine interface company. And they're working on this N1 implant, which is
Tiny.
right, it's a tiny little chip implanted directly in the brain.
Directly into the brain. And then you've got Tesla Optimus, which is this incredibly advanced humanoid robot, and it's designed to move just like we do.
Yeah, like us.
The hands in particular.
Oh, the hands are amazing.
I mean, 22 degrees of freedom.
Yeah.
That's almost as much as a human hand.
Almost there, yeah.
Most robotic hands I read, only have 6 or 7.
Yeah, much more limited.
So why is that extra dexterity such a big deal? What's the point of all that?
It's about more than just, being able to pick things up and move them around. It's really, I think this opens up a whole new world of possibilities. You think about the complex movements that, surgeons need to make,
Oh, absolutely.
or the kind of fine motor skills that you need in manufacturing, or even just, everyday tasks. Optimus's hands are designed to replicate all those little nuances of human movement,
Oh, wow.
which makes it, I think, perfect for tasks that require, that really human-like precision.
Yeah.
And that's where I think this Neuralink convoy feasibility trial comes in.
Yeah.
Because what they're going to test is whether this N1 implant can actually control these very intricate movements in Optimus.
So they're not just controlling a cursor on a screen.
Right.
They're controlling a whole robotic arm out in the real world.
Yeah, exactly. And that is a massive leap
Oh, huge.
to go from the digital to the physical.
Yeah.
Because it requires, overcoming a whole new set of challenges. Like,
Yeah.
how do you actually translate those brain signals into precise,
Yeah.
real-time robotic movements?
Right. Okay, so let's break down this N1 implant a little bit more.
Sure.
We know it's this brain-computer interface, but what's the actual tech behind it, and where does it even go in the brain?
Okay, well, the N1 itself is a tiny wireless chip. I mean, we're talking like the size of a coin.
Wow, that's tiny.
Yeah, and it's surgically implanted in the part of the brain that controls movement.
Yeah.
And it can actually read your neural signals.
So the electrical impulse.
Exactly, yeah. The electrical impulses that our brains use to communicate with each other. And then it takes those signals,
Yeah.
processes them, and basically translates them into commands that a machine can understand. So Neuralink has really been focused initially on helping people with neurological impairments to regain control. And so whether that's, controlling a computer cursor or eventually, hopefully a robotic limb.
Right. And didn't they do that PRIME study?
Yes.
Where they were having people control things on a screen with their
Yes.
thoughts, and some of those participants couldn't even use their hands before.
That's right. And the results were actually pretty impressive. People who had completely lost the ability to use their hands were able to control smartphones,
Yes.
computers,
Like that.
just with their thoughts. So
Yeah.
that study was really important because it laid the groundwork
Yeah.
for what they're trying to do now with this convoy trial and Optimus.
Okay, so speaking of Optimus, besides those super dexterous hands, is there anything else about its design that makes it particularly well-suited
Well,
for this kind of, mind control?
I think what Tesla has done that's really interesting is that they've been very deliberate
Yeah.
in trying to replicate the intricacies of human biomechanics.
Okay.
So they haven't just focused on building a powerful robot. They've really studied how our joints and muscles
Oh, wow.
and tendons all work together to create smooth, fluid movement.
Yeah.
And so everything about Optimus, from its limbs to its torso, is designed to move
Yeah.
in a way that feels natural and familiar to us,
Oh, interesting.
which is why I think it's such a good fit for the N1 implant.
Yeah.
Because the signals from the implant
Right.
are controlling a robot that essentially moves like a human body.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it's not just about, brute strength. It's about having finesse and control.
Wow.
And that focus on mimicking human biomechanics has led to some really impressive results. I mean, have you seen those videos of Optimus catching a tennis ball
Oh, yeah.
or manipulating different objects with its hands?
I mean, the wrist flexibility alone.
Just mind-blowing.
Yeah. So I think that level of dexterity combined with N1 implant's ability to actually translate thought into action is what makes the Convoy study so groundbreaking.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
really pushing the boundaries.
Pushing the limits.
Of what's possible. Yeah, at the intersection of robotics and neurotechnology. Okay, so let's talk about this Convoy study. What are they actually hoping to learn from this?
Well, the main goal is to test how precise and effective these N1-controlled robotic limbs can be.
Okay.
So they're going to be measuring, how well the implant translates those brain signals into those really intricate movements. But it's not just about the technology itself. They're also very focused on the human element of this. So they're inviting participants from the PRIME study, the ones who already have the implant.
Got it.
And have experience using it to control things digitally to take part in Convoy.
Oh, wow.
So it's a chance for those participants to really be at the forefront of this technology.
Yeah.
And potentially regain, a level of physical control that they may have lost.
I mean, that's got to be an incredibly empowering experience for those participants, right?
Oh, absolutely.
To be able to move again in a way that they probably thought was impossible.
Exactly. And the data that they gather from this is going to be crucial for refining the technology and moving it closer to real-world applications.
Absolutely. It's mind-blowing to think that this technology could one day help people who have lost limbs regain their mobility and their independence.
It really is.
But this goes way beyond just prosthetic limbs, right? We're talking full-body cybernetic integration.
Yeah, you're right. The potential implications of this technology are just vast. We could be looking at a future where, robotic limbs, exoskeletons, even entire robotic bodies could be controlled by thought.
It's wild.
Pretty amazing.
I mean, are we stepping into some serious science fiction territory here? Like, what kind of enhancements are we even talking about?
Well, I mean, think about learning a new language or mastering a musical instrument. What if you could just download information directly into your brain?
Like neo-learning Kung Fu.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the implications for education, personal development are just staggering.
Huge, yeah.
Imagine if you had instant access to any skill or knowledge base. Or think about memory.
Yeah.
What if we could recall memories with perfect clarity?
Yeah. No more forgetting where I put my keys.
Right.
But on a more serious note, I mean, the potential for research, for historical preservation, even for personal growth and understanding, I mean, it's incredible.
It is.
But it also raises some questions, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if we can augment our abilities this way, what does that say about us? About our limitations, about our individuality?
It really challenges our very definition of human potential, right?
Yeah.
And the limits of what we're capable of achieving.
Right.
But I think it also forces us to confront some very real and potentially dangerous issues.
Okay, like what?
Well, security, for one. If someone's a robotic limb or even their entire body is being controlled by this brain implant, what happens if it gets hacked?
Oh, yeah.
That's a very real and terrifying threat.
It's like something out of a cyberpunk thriller, right?
Exactly.
Someone hijacking your body.
Yeah. And then there's the issue of, accessibility and equality.
Oh, for sure.
We already see disparities in healthcare and technology.
Yeah.
So if these enhancements are expensive, you could end up creating a whole new class divide.
Absolutely. It could exacerbate existing inequalities and lead to a society where only the privileged can afford to be augmented.
Right.
And that raises some serious ethical questions.
Huge ethical questions.
Oh.
About fairness
and
access.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's not even considering, the practical challenges.
Oh, of course.
Of just developing and implementing this technology safely and effectively. It's a massive undertaking.
So are we talking years?
Yeah.
Decades? Before we even see this kind of widespread integration of humans and robots?
It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
Neuralink is still in the early stages of clinical trials.
Yeah.
And Tesla Optimus, as impressive as it is still under development.
Sure.
So, this kind of seamless integration between human thought and robotic function.
Yeah.
I mean, it requires huge advancements in both robotics and neurotechnology.
So we're still in the very early stages of this technological revolution. But even in its infancy, it's clear that this merging of human thought and this advanced robotics has the potential to reshape our world in ways that we can barely even imagine.
There's no doubt about that.
It's pretty incredible.
It really is. I think this is one of those moments in history where we can actually sense a paradigm shift
Oh, yeah.
on the horizon.
It's a little overwhelming to think about, to be honest.
It is. We're talking about fundamentally changing what it means to be human.
So we've explored this incredible potential of Neuralink and Tesla Optimus,
We have.
but we've also talked about the significant challenges and risks
Yeah.
from hacking and inequality to, the ethical implications of
Robotics.
augmenting our abilities. And I think it's important to remember that we don't lose sight of the human element as we push the boundaries of technology.
We have to be careful about that.
Absolutely. Responsible development, ethical considerations.
Yeah.
Open dialogue. These are all essential
I agree.
as we navigate this uncharted territory.
Definitely uncharted.
It's a lot to think about.
It is, but it's incredibly exciting, too.
Yeah.
I mean, we're on the cusp of something brand new,
Yeah.
an era that holds immense promise, but also
Yeah.
significant peril.
Absolutely.
I think how this all unfolds really depends on the choices that we make today as individuals, as a society, as a species.
I'm ready to dive into the future. Are you?
Let's do it.
All right, so we've covered physical enhancements like robotic limbs,
Right.
cognitive enhancements like being able to learn things super fast.
Yeah, like amped up learning.
But what about our emotions?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Could Neuralink one day tap into those?
I mean, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because if emotions are basically rooted in neural activity, and we know Neuralink can interact with that activity,
Yeah.
then, it's not a huge leap to imagine that we could actually influence or even alter our emotional states.
So we could be talking about like dialing down anxiety or boosting happiness with the brain implant?
Potentially, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty wild, but wouldn't that be kind of messing with who we are at our core?
I mean, it definitely raises huge ethical questions
Yeah.
about free will and autonomy.
Yeah.
I mean, if our emotions can be manipulated externally,
Right.
are we really in control of ourselves?
Yeah.
And who gets to decide what's an appropriate emotional state?
Exactly. I mean, it's not like everyone agrees on what happy or calm even means.
No, that's right.
But beyond just tweaking existing emotions, could Neuralink create new emotional experiences altogether, like ones we've never even felt before?
It's possible. I mean, what if we could experience emotions that are beyond the human spectrum?
Wow.
Or connect to something beyond ourselves, something that, some might even call spiritual.
Okay, now we're really going down the rabbit hole here.
I know, right?
Are you saying that Neuralink could be like a pathway to spiritual enlightenment?
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
But it's fascinating to think about.
Yeah.
If consciousness is a product of neural activity, which many people believe it is,
Right.
then understanding and manipulating that activity could unlock levels of awareness and experience
Wow.
that we can't even fathom right now.
It's mind-blowing to think about the possibilities, but also kind of daunting, to be honest.
It is. I think it feels like we're standing at the edge of a vast unknown territory.
We are. And that's what makes it so crucial to approach this with, a sense of wonder.
Oh, definitely.
But also a healthy dose of caution, right?
Sure.
We need to be having these conversations now, thinking about the ethics and making sure that this technology serves humanity,
Right.
not the other way around.
Exactly.
Well said. So, in this deep dive, we've explored the incredible potential of Neuralink and Tesla Optimus,
Yeah.
the blurring lines between human and machine, the potential for, restoring and enhancing our capabilities,
Absolutely.
and the really profound questions this raises about what it means to be human.
Big questions.
We've talked about the groundbreaking Convoy study, which is going to test how effectively the N1 implant can control robotic limbs.
Right.
And we've sort of touched on these broader implications of this technology, from full body cybernetic integration to this uncharted territory of emotional and spiritual enhancement.
It's pretty amazing.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And, we haven't shied away from the challenges either, right? The risks of hacking,
Of course.
the potential for inequality, and the ethical dilemmas that we're going to face
For sure.
as this technology evolves.
It's a lot to consider.
It is.
This deep dive has really only scratched the surface of what's possible, but hopefully it's giving you a glimpse into this rapidly evolving field and the really profound implications that it holds for our future.
And to leave you with something to ponder. We've talked about enhancing our physical abilities, our minds, our emotions even. But what about the very essence of who we are? Like our personalities, our values, our sense of self? Could Neuralink one day allow us to explore or even modify these fundamental aspects of ourselves?
That's a big question.
It's a question that goes, I think, to the heart of what it means to be human. And it's a question that we're going to have to confront as this technology continues to unfold.
For sure. It's a question that deserves a lot of careful consideration and open discussion, and maybe even a little bit of awe at the incredible potential that lies before us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me
On this deep dive.
It's a pleasure.
Until next time,
keep
exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
I like that. I mean, it really makes you wonder, where's the dividing line, between like restoring lost function and actually like enhancing human capabilities?
Yeah, where does that line blur?
Yeah, for sure.
So what kind of enhancements are we even talking about here?
Well, I mean, think about like learning a new language or mastering a musical instrument. Like, what if you could just download that information directly into your brain?
Like Neo learning Kung Fu in the Matrix.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the implications for education and personal development are just staggering.
Yeah.
Imagine having instant access to any skill or knowledge base.
Yeah, wow.
Or think about memory. What if we could just recall memories with perfect clarity?
No more forgetting where I put my keys. But on a more serious note, the potential for research, for historical preservation, even for like personal growth and understanding, it's incredible.
It's huge.
But it also raises some questions, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if we can augment our abilities in this way, what does that say about us? About our limitations? About our individuality?
Yeah, I mean, it really challenges our very definition of human potential and what we're capable of achieving. But I think it also forces us to confront some very real and potentially very dangerous issues.
Okay, like what?
Well, security, for one.
Yeah.
If someone's robotic limb or even their entire body is being controlled by this brain implant, what happens if it gets hacked?
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, that's a very real threat.
It's like straight out of a cyberpunk thriller, someone just like hijacking your body.
Yeah, and then there's the issue of accessibility.
Oh, for sure.
And equality. We already see these huge disparities.
Of course.
In healthcare and in technology. So if these enhancements are expensive, you could end up creating this whole new class divide.
Absolutely. It could exacerbate the inequalities that already exist and lead to a society where, only the privileged few can afford to be augmented.
Exactly. And that raises some big ethical questions.
Huge, yeah.
About fairness and about access.
Yeah, wow. And that's not even considering, the practical challenges.
Right, of course.
Of actually developing and implementing this technology safely and effectively.
It's a massive undertaking.
So are we talking years? Decades even, before we see this kind of widespread integration of humans and robots?
It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
Neuralink is still in those early stages of clinical trials.
Right.
And Tesla Optimus, as impressive as it is still under development, right?
Sure.
So this kind of seamless integration between human thought and robotic function, I mean, it really requires huge advancements.
Absolutely.
In both robotics and neurotechnology.
So we're still in the very early stages of this technological revolution. But even in its infancy, it's so clear that this merging of human thought and this advanced robotics has the potential to completely reshape our world in ways that we can barely even imagine.
There's no doubt about it.
It's pretty wild.
It really is. I think this is one of those moments in history where we can really sense a paradigm shift happening right in front of us.
It's a little overwhelming to think about, to be honest.
It is. We're talking about fundamentally changing what it even means to be human.
Okay, so we've explored this incredible potential of Neuralink and Tesla Optimus.
Yeah, we have.
But we've also talked about some of the, the significant challenges and risks.
We have.
Everything from hacking and inequality to those ethical implications of augmenting our abilities.
For sure.
And I think it's really important to remember that as we push these boundaries of technology, we can't lose sight of the human element.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
So responsible development, ethical considerations,
yes,
open dialogue, I mean, these are all essential.
Couldn't agree more.
As we kind of navigate this uncharted territory.
Definitely uncharted, yeah.
It's a lot to think about.
It is, but it's also incredibly exciting.
Yeah. I mean, we're really on the cusp of a brand new era here.
We are.
An era that holds such immense promise.
It does.
But also, significant peril.
Absolutely. And I think how this unfolds really depends on the choices that we make today. As individuals, as a society, as a species even.
I'm ready to dive into the future, are you?
I am. Let's go.
So we've talked about, enhancing our physical abilities,
Right.
our minds, even our emotions.
Yeah.
But what about the very essence of who we are?
That's interesting.
Like our personalities,
Yeah.
our values, our sense of self. Could Neuralink one day let us explore or even modify those fundamental aspects of ourselves?
That's a big question.
It is.
It goes to the heart of what it means to be human, right?
Yeah,
And it's a question I think we're going to have to confront as this technology keeps developing.
absolutely. It's a question that deserves careful consideration, a lot of open discussion.
For sure.
Maybe even a little bit of awe at the potential that's in front of us.
Definitely. Well, it's been great talking about all this.
Yeah, this has been fascinating.
Thanks for having me.
So in this deep dive, we've explored the incredible potential of Neuralink and Tesla Optimus, this blurring of the lines between humans and machines,
Yeah,
the potential for restoring and enhancing human capabilities,
absolutely.
and the really profound questions that all of this raises
It does.
about what it means to be human.
Big questions.
We discussed the groundbreaking Convoy study, which is going to test how effectively the N1 implant can control robotic limbs.
Right.
And we touched on those broader implications of this technology, from full-body cybernetic integration to that uncharted territory of emotional and even spiritual enhancement.
Such a fascinating area.
And we didn't shy away from the challenges either.
No, we didn't.
The risks of hacking, the potential for inequality, the ethical dilemmas,
Yeah, it's important to consider all of that.
all things that we're going to face as this technology evolves.
For sure. I think this deep dive has really only scratched the surface of what's possible.
Oh, absolutely.
But hopefully it's given everyone listening a glimpse into this rapidly evolving field and all the implications it holds for our future.
And to leave you with one final thought, we talked about enhancing our physical abilities, our minds, our emotions even.
Right.
But what about enhancing our consciousness itself?
Whoa.
Could Neuralink one day allow us to expand our awareness, to experience reality in ways we can't even begin to comprehend right now?
I mean, that's a whole other level.
It is.
It really makes you think
It does.
about the future and what's possible.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing those boundaries of what's possible